Hey YouTube, how's it going? How you doing? How you doing? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Again, I hope everybody's doing happy Thursday. Wherever you guys at. Hope you guys are coding, healthy, and yeah, just we're almost finished with this lesson. So let's go over the syllabus real quick. Let me go ahead and move this. Yeah, we're back at another HTML, but we're doing a review this time regarding the forms. So let's look at it. So we're at the HTML forms and we're currently on a review right now. So we went over a lot of stuff. We went over introduction to HTML forms, how a form works. Oh, well, through this series, we had text input, adding a label, password input, number input, range input, checkbox input, radio button input, drop down list, data list input, text area element, submit form, and review. So yeah, we did a lot. So we learned the inner workings of HTML form. So now we're just gonna go ahead and review it and wrap this lesson up, or wrap this section up, which is HTML forms, right? And we should be on to the next form. Well, we'll be on to the next form validation. So that'll be pretty exciting. Yeah. So, yeah, hope everybody, pretty excited about this, Pretty awesome that we got this far. We learned a lot. We learned a ton of stuff. So let's just jump into the review, right? Let me go ahead and zoom in so we could be able to see it more, because it's kind of a little too small. All right, so let's go review. Nice work. Interact. Let's get started. All right. Remember, this is uncut, no editing, just raw. Let's go. Review. Nice work interacting with the extremely common and useful form element. In this lesson, we went over the purpose of a form is to allow users to input information and send it. The form's action attribute determines where the form's information goes. The form's method attribute determines how the information is sent and processed, right? And to add the fields for the user's input information, we use the input element. And we set it, the equal sign, right, to the type attribute to the field of our choosing. And when we set the type, right here, we're setting the type to text. What it does, it creates a single row field for a text input. And we setting type to password, it creates a single row field that censors the text input. Setting type to number creates a single row field for the number input. Setting type to range creates a slider to select from a range of numbers. Setting type to checkbox creates a single checkbox that can be paired with other checkboxes. Setting type to radio creates a radio button that can be paired with the other radio buttons. Setting type to text and adding the list attribute will pair the input with a data list element if the list of input and the ID of data list are the same. Alright, so setting type to submit creates a submit button. A select element is populated with option elements and renders a drop-down list selection. A data list element is populated with option elements and works with an input to search through choices. A text area element is a text area element is a text input field that has a customizable area. When a form is submitted, the name of the fields that accept input and the value of those fields are sent as name equal value pairs. Right? Okay, so using the form element in conjunction with the other elements listed above allows us to create sites that take into consideration the wants and needs of our users. Take the opportunity to take what you learn and apply it. Awesome. So real quick. So when we're using types, right, and we're setting it to certain functionalities, certain words, it will basically do the functionality. So we set type to text, the function will be, it'll create a row of fields. So if you picture these right here, creates a single row for the field for text input. Create a single row field that censors the text input. Create a single row field for number input. Think of those as functions. Like you're activating it. So you're setting it up. You're saying, hey, this is a type. I want to have a type. And the type will be like a number. And then, okay, what do you want to do with that? I want to make the functionality that creates a single row field for number input. So yeah. So this functionality will get more deeper in with JavaScript because that will show some interactivity. So doing this so far, I feel like it's like a little entrance to know about JavaScript and the functionality and what things could do, right? So I hope that makes sense. So let's look at these instructions here. If you want to challenge yourself, create a form with multiple fields that accept the user input. Add two separate sets of radio buttons or checkboxes. Search how to add a placeholder, hint, hint, to an input field. A placeholder shows up when the field has no value. It disappears after the user types or selects something in the field. Nice. So yeah, these are good. These are good tasks and good things to do. So you could keep consistent and keep sharp, right? Of what you learn. You know, you already created a form before with fields, and then you already have user inputs, and previously we created checkboxes and radio buttons, right? And we had placeholders before. So yeah, all these things we did right here, this challenge, we done before. But this is just like keeping it sharp and retaining the information and the knowledge that you have. So let's go ahead and review this code over here. and see. This is a doc type HTML, and this is a HTML laying en directory LTR, and you have the head, so starting meta character set UTF-8, and then you have a link rel style sheet, and you have that type set as a text CSS href style CSS, and then you link that href font Google fonts, Google APIs, and then we have that as a CSS family using rubric, the font. All right, and then we have the relationship with the style sheet, and we're titling it forms review, right? Okay, and then we have a head, and then we have a body, and now the section ID comes in, has an overlay here, and then you have the image source, which is the content of the SCVG burger, which represents this right here, the Dave's Burgers. And now you have an alt. Remember, the alt is about, if this picture doesn't show up, it'll tell you the description of what this picture is supposed to be, or what this content's supposed to be. So it's like a backup, right? Just imagine this picture's gone, but it still tells you description of what it is, right? Dave's Burger logo. So that's kind of like some kind of like fail safe. Just in case the logo doesn't show up, it'll tell you in text what it is, right? Okay, we have a HR here, and then we have the form action submission HTML method post. Remember, when we're making a post, it excuse me. Remember, when we're making a post, it sends the sends it to the server, right? Once we fill out all this information will be sent in the back end. And then you have your H1 create a burger, which starts right here, creates a burger. And then you have your section class protein. What type of protein would you like? Then you have your label for patty. What type of protein would you like? Yeah, you have your labels right here and your text. This is the whole section right here is talking about. And then you set that as an input text, right? So this will have letters or text, right? And then you have your input type text named patty, yeah. And you're closing this section off. Right, so this whole section right here, this whole part, right here is it's a section. So this is connected to all right here. This is all together. All right. And then we scroll down. And we have section class patties, label for amount, how many patties would you like? And you have your label, and you have your input number, amount, and ID section. And that section, this section right here, covers this as well, right? So that matches that. Okay. And then you have your section class cooked, label for doneness. How do you want your patty cooked? You have your end label, and then you have your break, and your span rare, and then your input type range doneness, right, and your value, and you have your minimum 1 and your max, right? So let me click done. Let me scroll down here, and then you have your well done here, and then your section. All right. So where does this represent? Where this represents this right here. This code right here outputs this. All right. Okay, we got that. And then your section topping. Oh, section class. Sorry, section class topping. What toppings would you like? And then you have your break, and then your input type checkbox, right? And your name topping, your lettuce, and then your value lettuce, and your label for lettuce, your text lettuce, your input type checkbox, your name topping, your tomato, and the value of tomato. And then you have your label for tomato and your text tomato. And then you have an input checkbox, name, topping, and your ID of onion, and your value of onion. And then your label for onion, and your onion text and section. Okay? And this right here, this whole section represents, this whole section right here represents right here. This is all connected. This code right here is connected to that. This code outputs this information. Okay? Okay? Excuse me. And then let's go on. What happened? Sorry. The thing reset it. I don't know why it does that. Anyways, so we have your section class cheesy, and then we have would you like to add cheese? And then you have your radio cheese, yes. You have your type radio, name cheese, your ID yes, and the value yes, and then your label for yes, and your text, you have your text here, yes. And then you have your input type radio, name cheese, ID no, and the value yes, and the label for no, and then your text. And then you have your section here. Okay? So this section right here, this section code represents this part right here. This outputs that. This output this information. Okay? And then your section class bun type, a label for bun. What type of bun would you like? This label, then you have your section name, bun, ID, bun. Your option value, sesame. Right? Then your text here. Your option value, potato, potato. Then your option value, pretzel. You have your pretzel there. And then you have your select and your section and your HR. And again, this code right here represents this functionality and outputs this information right here. It's all connected. Okay, then you have your section class, sauce selection, label for sauce. What type of sauce would you like? Your label here, input list sauces, and your ID sauce, your name sauce, your data list ID sauces, your option value ketchup, your option here, option value mayo, closing with option value mustard, closing out with option, your data list, and then you have your section, right? So let's see. Yeah, I forgot about that. This drop down right here. This drop down is connected to this right here. that drop down. Okay. And what type of sauce would you like? This sauce, this whole section right here represents this part. And remember these options right here, these options are drop downs. So you have your drop downs, ketchup and mayo and mustard. Okay. And then your last part, or almost last part, your section class extra info, label for extra, anything else you want to add. This is the text, right? And this has the label, and this breaks it, and this is the text area ID extra, your name extra, your rows, the number of visible text lines for you to control, right? And then the name you want to control, your ID, and then your columns, basically your the visible width of the text control and average character width. If to specify, it must be positive integer. If it is not specified, the default value is 20, right? So we have set it as 40, and we have the section HR. Okay, and that this code right here, this section right here, this section code represents right here, all right here. Let me move myself. And lastly, this has section class submission, input type submit, value submit, and you're ending the section, ending the form, section, body, HTML, encapsulating all the code here together. Right, this ends the HTML document, this ends the body, this ends the section for this one right here. Right, and these right here, and these two right here ends the whole code from start. If you click it right here, it's not VS Code, so the body opens up here, and then it closed down here. The HTML ends there, and then it starts up to here. Okay. And yeah, guys, that's just the review. And like I said, let's check this out real quick. This check boxes, go ahead and try this yourself. And, you could open up a notepad or use Visual Studio Code. And I encourage you guys to go ahead and try this. Challenge yourself. And tell me what you got in the comments. Tell me how it went. If you're having trouble, or you found something new, or you learned something new, or you did it a different way. I just want to know your thoughts. That's all. And yeah, guys, thank you so much. This is good. And again, we're gonna move on to the next section, which will be. Let's look at the syllabus. We'll be going to the next thing of form validation. So it will be introduction to HTML form validation, requiring an input, and then we'll do set a minimum and maximum, and checking text length, and then we'll matching a pattern, and we'll have a review again. But yeah, and make sure you guys subscribe. I've been seeing a lot of people do the analytics and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that are not subscribed, right? So yeah, go ahead and subscribe. Support. We're all in this together. And also share too. Share with other people, family, friends, different people you meet, you know. Uh, and also it helps a lot. It's a lot of support, and I greatly appreciate it. You know, and we're gonna keep growing. We're gonna keep getting bigger and bigger, and this channel is gonna have more code and stuff like that, and more tech and everything like that. And like I said before, we're probably gonna move on to CSS and JavaScript, and hopefully we'll get more into have some artificial intelligence, get into some nice fun stuff, some spicy um, functionalities of AI. And whenever I start a new topic, it's always gonna go starting off beginning, and then it'll go to intermediate and advanced. So we'll always take it a step at a time. We won't just dive into it. We'll make sure that we build our foundation first, and then we could branch out. I think that's really important, to always have your foundation strong and solid, because everything always goes back to that, right? So yeah, again, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for supporting, and thank you for writing the comments. And it's really really heartfelt that seeing these comments and how I help people going through these blockers or issues or learning things, being a part of your journey in your life. It really means a lot to me. It's really touching. So yeah, that's all I don't know. I guess it cut out or something. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. And I'm glad that I went with this journey for you. Going through this journey with you guys. And I guess I'll see you later, guys. See you on the next one. Again, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And yeah, also, oh yeah, I forgot about it. Also click the notification bell so you know whenever I post a new video. I'm not sure if that works on post, because I started creating posts as well. So make sure you go ahead and do that. And what's another thing? I forgot. It was on top of my head. But anyways, yeah. I can't think of it. But yeah, once you click that notification bell, you'll see newer videos that come out as soon as I post this. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. And have fun, guys. Peace out, and go ahead and keep coding and have fun. Hope you guys have a good upcoming weekend. Take care. Bye bye. Stay safe out there. Thank you.